Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. So we are joined today by Gerard Kennedy from the Development and Engagement team. And Gerard's going to be telling us a little bit more about what the team does and how you can get involved with Swansea University alumni. Over to you then, Gerard.
Hello everyone, thanks Catherine for the introduction. I hope you can all see my screen as well, which will be really helpful. So as Catherine mentioned, I work in the university's development and engagement team. In that team we've got an alumni relations team which looks after all the ex-students, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a moment. We've also got a fundraising team because the university is a charity. So we do fundraising to support some of the groundbreaking research that goes on in the university, such as cancer research, sustainability, that sort of stuff. We also fundraise for hardship grants for students that might be struggling and other things like that. Another big part of our team is what we call our corporate events team. And they deal with all the high profile events that we have at the university. So for instance, if we have members of the royal family coming, they would look after that. Whenever Hillary Clinton comes over to visit us from the USA, they normally look after that as well. And on top of those high profile events, they also put on events such as Varsity, which you'll probably hear a lot more about as well. Then sitting as part of the events team, we have a sports team, and they basically work on sporting events and sporting scholarships, and they look after all our high profile, high performing sports, and they look after varsity setups and stuff like that. So there's a whole lot going on within the team. The bit I really wanted to show you though today is to talk about our alumni. Alumni is a word that you'll probably hear quite a lot around the university, and a lot of people are really confused about the word alumni because it's Latin, so it's not very helpful. So my very first slide is a little bit of an introduction to you on what the word alumni actually means. So alumni are graduates, they're the ex-students of the university. So the word alumni is the collective term for ex-students. The alumna is another one you'll hear, which is a female ex-student, and alumnus is a male ex-student. So that's the Latin lesson done for today anyway, but on we go. So you guys are joining the university in 2020, which is 100 years on from when the university was first founded in 1920. So back in 1920, there were only 89 students here, and that was 81 men and 8 ladies. So the Singleton Abbey, which is the oldest part of the university and its surrounding land, was handed over to the university in 1923. So at that point in time, we were a very small university. And the numbers of students stayed quite low right the way up until the war period. In 1947, then, the university only had 2 permanent buildings. And our principal at the time, John Fulton, had plans to build the UK's first contained university campus. And then in the 1960s, the university embarked upon a large campus development programme to fulfil John Fulton's ambitions. And that's what created the Singleton campus. But from then on, we've just continued to grow and grow, okay? So there's a nice view of the Singleton Park campus. At the very bottom of the screen, that building you can see there is Singleton Abbey, and that's where I'm actually based. So if you're ever looking for me, that's where you'll find me. So as the university has grown, we've now got over 22,000 students, and they're spread across 2 campuses. So this one is Singleton campus, and then this one is the Bay campus where you guys will be based. So for those of you that haven't been there yet, on the far left of the building, far left of the view here, the building closest to the sea, that's where you guys are going to be based. So the Bay campus is 65 acres, it's a beachfront site, and so far it's cost us about £450 million to build it. So the Bay campus is also home to the college where you're going to be based, and it's where our College of Engineering and the School of Management are. So we've gone from 89 students right at the beginning to 22,000 students on campus now, and worldwide we have got more than 150,000 ex-students. So this is a little bit of a screen grab from our alumni database to give you an idea of where all our ex-students are around the world. So the message that you can take from this is no matter where you go in the world, you'll never be that far from another Swansea graduate. And they're there for you to reach out to and make contact with, and so you'll always have friends around the world. I also wanted to show you a little video here, which hopefully you can all see, and this pretty much sums up the last 100 years. So if I hit this button, hopefully it'll play for you.
The road to progress is built by those who want to make a difference. Foundations are formed upon industrious minds, with a willingness to test the metal and a flair for the dramatic. Together, expanding what we think, what we know, and though there will be adversity along the way, we will always rebuild, grow, and evolve, creating a legacy that helps us better understand the world around us, with the power to innovate, the will to make a home, and the strength to succeed. It's about forging connections and exploring what drives us, knowing our purpose, our rights, our power, our abilities, and how to apply them. And for those ready to be the best they can, there will always be a place to make waves at Swansea University.
So there we have it. You know, that's Swansea University. You know, it's a great community. It's a place for you to fulfill your ambitions and your potential. And we've been doing that for 100 years, and we're really looking forward to having you guys here to see what we can do for the next 100 years. So something I also wanted to share with you is, I don't know how much research you've been doing, but I wanted to tell you a bit about some of our famous alumni that have come through the place. And these are a few of the people that you could argue have fulfilled their potential. So the first people on my screen here, I don't know if anybody's a rugby fan out there around the world, but the guy on the left is a guy called Alan Wynne-Jones. He's the current Wales rugby captain. He studied law at university, graduated in 2009. It actually took him 6 years to graduate because his studies got interrupted with all his professional rugby career. Alan quite often pops into the university. He has been known to be found in the gym quite often. He also pops in every now and again to say hello to the rugby team and make sure that they're doing their best. The lady on the right alongside him there is Siwan Lillicrap. She's the Wales ladies captain. So both Wales national teams, men's and ladies, are captained by Swansea graduates, which is fantastic. Siwan is probably somebody you might see around the university a lot because she's actually our head of sport and head of rugby, and she looks after our performance athletes and the rugby team. So she coaches the men's and the ladies right up to a high standard. This guy you may see on TV, he's on the BBC quite regularly. He's a guy called Jason Mohammed. Jason studied Welsh and politics with us and graduated back in 1993, I think it was. You might have seen Jason commentating on the World Cup finals. You might have seen him commentating on the Olympics and on the Commonwealth Games and all sorts of stuff. He also runs a radio show in the UK as well, so you can listen to him on the weekends. Next up is a guy called Nicholas Jones, or some people know him much better as Nicky Wire. And he's the lyricist and the bassist of a band called the Manic Street Preachers. The band was formed while Nicky was at university back in 1986 and when he was studying politics. And since then, they've gone on to sell over 10 million albums worldwide. So he's done quite well for himself. The next up is a face that people probably won't recognise, but this is Sir Terry Matthews. He's actually Wales's richest man. He was Wales's first billionaire. So he graduated from 1969 with a degree in electronics. He then went over to Canada and started trying to import lawnmowers from the UK into Canada. It didn't work out very well. The lawnmowers got delayed in transport over to Canada. It was a bit of a failure. So he diverted his attention into electronics companies. Since then, Terry's either funded or founded over 100 electronics companies worldwide. So he's done quite well. Terry's also quite involved with our School of Management, and he's taken a number of students to live with him in Canada to help them set up their own businesses and work with his teams over there. So he's still quite involved. Next up is Liz Johnson. Liz Johnson's one of our psychology graduates, and while she was studying for a degree, she was also training because she's an Olympic or Paralympic champion. She's won gold at the Paralympics. She's also won gold at the Commonwealth Games, and she's a great advocate for ability sports worldwide. This guy, for anybody who's interested in physics and engineering, is definitely a name you'll hear around the university. This guy's called Lynn Evans. He built a thing called the Large Hadron Collider in CERN. So Lynn is responsible for finding the Higgs boson. The project took him 14 years to build, and it's actually the world's biggest and most expensive science experiment, and I think he's quite grateful it worked. Another person who graduated from the university about 20 years ago, she graduated out of the business school, is a lady called Lana Haddad. She's actually got quite a big job on her hands because she's the Chief Operating Officer of the International Olympic Committee. So I'd imagine all the organisation that goes into running an Olympics all ends up on her desk somewhere. So she's quite a busy lady at the moment. The guy bottom right is somebody you may or may not heard. He's actually an interplanetary geologist. He sadly passed away a few years ago now, but this is Colin Pillinger. And Colin was actually responsible for building and designing the Beagle probes that actually went to Mars. At the time they landed on Mars, they were deemed to be a bit of a failure because they lost contact with them. And subsequent missions to Mars have actually realized that they did land safely, and they have actually been transmitting data back to Earth. So his work has been hugely influential in helping us understand more about Mars. And last, but by no means least, is a guy called Andy Hopper. Andy's actually Polish by origin, and he moved over to the UK as a teenager, and he ended up applying to Swansea. I was chatting to Andy actually a couple of weeks ago, and he told me when he applied to Swansea, he didn't actually get the grades to get in, but he got lucky and we took him in anyway. After graduating from Swansea, Andy went off to Cambridge University to do his PhD, and then he ended up setting up a company called Acorn, which is basically the British version of Apple. So he built and designed microchips that went into hundreds and thousands of computers worldwide. The course he studied at Swansea was called Computer Technology. And when he eventually became head of department at Cambridge University, he changed the name of the department to the Department of Computer Technology. And it's a nod back to his time at Swansea. So those are just a few of our ex-students that have gone on to do great and wonderful things. And I'm sure when I'm doing this presentation again in 20 years' time, I'm probably going to be including your names on here as well. So something else I wanted to let you know about is we launched an alumni platform a while ago. So we've got all those fantastic alumni, and beyond the ones that I've just shown you, we've got hundreds of thousands of alumni that are really successful in all sorts of industries worldwide. And we wanted to find ways to connect our students and our alumni communities together. So we launched this thing called Swansea Uni Connect, and the web address is up there in the top left-hand corner for you. So this is a web-based app where you can connect with our alumni network. And lots of them are out there, and they're willing to help and chat as well. So it's a really good thing for you to look into while you're here. On the platform itself, you can see that there's a bit of a menu on the left-hand side. So you can use the directory to try and find ex-students that you might be interested in. So if you're interested in engineering, you can have a look for all our engineering graduates and try and have a chat with them. The mentoring talks about ex-students who are willing to help you. So we have got literally thousands of ex-students from all sorts of businesses at all stages of their careers, and they are willing to help you. They will review your CVs when it's time to apply for jobs. They will answer questions about their industries and their jobs and their roles and what they do and how they got to where they are. They'll happily meet for a coffee, just have a chat, or they can do all sorts of stuff. So they're there for you to reach out to and try and connect with. On the platform as well, you'll also see that there's hundreds of jobs on there, and these are generally graduate careers. So once you start getting towards the end of your time at Swansea, this is a great place for you to come and try and find jobs. There's also a great photo gallery on here. We had a little event a couple of weeks ago with our ex-students, and we asked them to share photos and memories of their time at Swansea. So if you have a look on there, you'll see photos from the last 60, 70 years of the university. You'll see some of the horrible clothes that people wore in the 1980s, and you'll see some of the amazing team photos from various sports teams throughout the years. We've also got different groups on this platform as well. So if you're a business student or an engineering student or medicine, you can find a group for those students as well. So you can just talk about your engineering plans or medical plans or whatever it might be. And it's a good way of helping you network with people who are graduating out of the same disciplines that you're studying. And we also post events on here as well. So if we've got any alumni events running anywhere in the world, then we would be putting them on there for you to see as well. So a little bit more about the mentoring program on here and the platform. Within the mentoring thing here, it will show you the mentors that are around in your local area, and based on the information that you put in about what you're studying, it'll also select some mentors for you or suggest people. So you can see by looking around this screen here that you can find mentors by industry. So if you're looking for engineering or IT and telecoms, you can see the number of mentors that are there. And the easy way to find them then is just use the directory, and then you'll see these links then to connect with people. So somebody like Aaron Raza, Aaron graduated with a degree in engineering. He's based in India. He's set up various electronics companies over there. He also works with children in schools to help teach them basic engineering techniques. But Aaron is an absolutely fantastic mentor for anybody who's looking at setting up their own businesses, and particularly if you've got an engineering interest as well. And Aaron does get over to the UK quite often as well, so you might even see him around. Here's some of the photos as well that I wanted to quickly show you about. So you can see that people have been posting photos from back in the 1960s and all sorts. And there's more from the 1980s and various bits on there. So it really is worth your while going and having a quick look and see what's going on. It will give you a real feel for the things that have gone on in the university. And you can see that most of these photos generally involve people with their arms around each other and big groups. It really is a community that you're coming into. Alumni events. We do lots and lots and lots of alumni events, and when you graduate, we're going to be inviting you to them. So all you need to do is keep in touch with us. We always have events in London every year. We've been to Malaysia, we've been to India, we should be going to China, we'll be in the US, we'll be all over the place. This is a little photo of some of our guys that we met up with in London last year. And we bought one of our frames, and they were all delighted to get photos taken with that. They're all posing with each other. This is our Nigerian alumni chapter. They have regular events every year. They're an absolutely fantastic bunch. They've even got their own Nigerian chapter WhatsApp group, so I speak to them quite regularly. And yeah, they're a bit of a wild bunch, they are. Our Vice-Chancellor was out in Malaysia recently. We managed to host a small dinner for a group of our alumni in Kuala Lumpur. So we try and get out there every year as well. So there's a great network in Malaysia as well. And then we also have Varsity every year. So you'll probably remember right at the beginning of this presentation, I mentioned that our events team organised Varsity. So varsity is the biggest student sports event in Wales. Basically, it's a huge rivalry between Swansea University and Cardiff University. So all our sports teams will go and challenge Cardiff sports teams for the day. And the culmination of the day, the big finale of the day, is normally a huge rugby match, and it's normally held in the Millennium Stadium in Cardiff or at the Swans ground in Swansea. And at that event, we normally end up with about 25 to 30,000 students, but we also invite our ex-students as well. And this is just a picture from a couple of years ago of a bunch of them that came along. And you can see all the students and the teams on the pitch in the background as well. So this is a great event for all our alumni to get involved with, and it's a great one for you to get involved with as well as students. So this could be you now when you end up at Swansea, when we take about 20,000 students over to Cardiff to cheer the teams on. Yeah, you could be the ones waving the big green fingers and cheering everybody on. And this could definitely be you next time that we have a varsity match, and we really look forward to seeing you there. So that's it really. I'm sure everybody said we're really looking forward to seeing you all at Swansea. You're going to be part of our community. You're going to be part of our 150,000 strong alumni community as well. And we really look forward to seeing you.